time off from their busy schedule to attend this CME program. I take the opportunity to extend a very warm and hearty welcome to every one of you on behalf of Sonoscan. Dear doctors, please allow me first to introduce our star speakers today, who will enlighten us on 3 contemporary topics. First, Dr. Bikramjit Dhar, MSc, will enter a speech on management of vertigo. Then Dr. Atanu Acharya, MD Medicine, he will speak on recent update of septicemia. And finally, Dr. M.N. Haq will share his view on bronchial asthma on post-COVID scenarios. I will request our distinguished speakers to take their seats on the dais, please. Ladies and gentlemen, we at Sonoscan have always held to believe that such CME programs are extremely useful and necessary in sense that they are not only informative but rich in academic contexts, but also contributes immensely in process of sharing up-to-date medical knowledge, and also play an important role in future strengthening the bond between the medical fraternity and the healthcare organizations that serves the society as an inseparable team. CMEs truly bring us all together in more ways than one. In the past, we at Sonoscan have conducted such programs and we have been hugely successful on these issues. Incidentally, due to our expansion program, which has involved massive construction work on our facilities, and unfortunate situation due to the COVID pandemic, we are compelled to put such program on hold. Finally, sir, we are absolutely certain today that CME will enrich all of us in every aspect possible, and we will definitely endeavor to organize such events in future with your kind cooperation and participation. Thank you once again for your gracious presence. Sir, now I will request Dr. Bikramjit Dhar to come up on the dais and render his speech on management of vertigo. Please.
My topic of discussion today is diagnosis and management of vertigo. I have 55 slides, but don't worry, my remote of my speed will be with you. I can go brush past many slides also. And as I have been just making a joke with Dr. Shah that whether topic is successful and has an impact on the audience about vertigo is whether I have been able to induce vertigo in my audience. So with this humorous note, I would like to just come to the point. Now, we all know that maintenance of balance and spatial orientation and the fixed gaze depends upon the interplay of sensory inputs, integration of the input and the motor output. The sensory inputs involved here are the vestibular system, the visual system and the proprioceptive system. And integrate the players in the integration part are the cerebellum and the brainstem, and the output is vestibulo-ocular. I have it. Motor output is vestibulo-ocular. The fixed gaze is by function of vestibulo-ocular reflex, and motor impulses to control eye movements, and motor impulses to make postural adjustment so that I can have a good posture. I don't fall down. All this, and the ultimate end result is a perfect balance state. Now coming to the neuroanatomy of this, We all know there are 3 canals and 2 otolith organs in each ear. The 3 canals being the semicircular canals and the otolith organs being the saccule and the utricle. Now vestibular nerve carries the signal to the vestibular nuclei, and the otolith organs sense linear acceleration. The semicircular canals sense head rotation. This is a picture of the inner ear comprising the labyrinth and the cochlea, which is familiar to us from MBBS days, and also a microscopic picture showing the capula, the endolymph, the receptor cells and nerve. The semicircular canals, beginning with the superior semicircular canal, also known as the anterior semicircular canal, it functions to detect rotation of the head around a rostrocaudal or anteroposterior axis. That is nodding. That's like this. Now the horizontal semicircular canals, also known as lateral semicircular canals, the movement of fluid within this canal corresponds to the rotation of the head around a vertical axis. In that, we see move our heads while crossing the roads, this motion. And the posterior semicircular canal, also known as the inferior semicircular canal, detects rotation of the head in around the lateral axis, lateral bending of the head, just like this, just like this. Now the sensory structure enlarged, the motion sensors which are present in the macula, you can see there are type 1 and type 2 type of hair cells. They are embedded in a gelatinous matrix on which we have a blanket of calcium carbonate crystals, and there are afferent neurons. When there is a action potential generated, this is carried to via the afferent neurons to the respective nuclei. Now neural connections of vertigo, these are the vestibulospinal, the sensation that the body is being hurled or pulled in space, leading to unsteadiness. You all remember riding the merry-go-rounds, how we feel. This is the culprit. Vestibulo-ocular, the nystagmus is controlled by vestibulo-ocular system. Vestibulo-autonomic limbic, vegetative symptoms like nausea and vomiting, this system is in play. Now definition is confusing. We loosely say certain terms which are not specific. It may be defined as the sensation of motion when no motion is occurring relative to the earth's gravity. A more precise definition would be a feeling of movement, a sensation as if the external world were revolving around the patient, or as if he himself were revolving in space. The former being known as objective vertigo and the latter the subjective vertigo. Now, what is the epidemiology of vertigo? This is showing the prevalence. I won't go into details. Just if you want to stop at a particular slide, please say. I will linger on that slide a bit more. So, summary is there is a female preponderance, and the elderly. It is frequent in the elderly compared to the young. What is the impact? It is recurrent in 88% of affected patients. This is the cause of worry. Affects daily lives in 80% of persons. Reduced quality of life. Go and ask a patient of vertigo how his quality of life has reduced. He becomes very unsure of himself. Any movement becomes depressed, becomes dependent on others. So this can give rise to psychiatric problems. Vertigo can give rise to psychiatric problems. Again, psychiatric in itself can cause vertigo, which is known as psychogenic vertigo. Sick leaves and frequent medical consultations are there. It's obvious, and very area of concern falls in the elderly. These elderly people, most of the time we are seeing a change in our society in which elderly people are staying by themselves with caregivers, and the children are going abroad and all this. If they fall, what impact it is there on the family, only they will know. Vertigo diagnosis. Specific diagnosis is rare in patients with vertigo seen in general practice. Misdiagnosis is common, and appropriate training of physicians may benefit patients and save costs. In a study of 3,400 patients over 70 years of age, and accurate diagnosis was possible in more than 75%. Sorry. Bedside examination. Yeah. One positive factor about vertigo is that a lot of information can be gathered from mere bedside examination if it is done with caution and properly. In all patients with vertigo, a careful examination of eyes, ears, cardiovascular system, nervous system and vestibular system should be done methodically. Proper history and good clinical examination can provide a diagnosis in majority of the patients. We enumerate here in this slide the tests during examination, being spontaneous nystagmus, which is clinically detected, gaze nystagmus, smooth passage, saccades, fixation suppression, head thrust, head shake, dynamic visual acuity, Hall-Pike positioning, static, positional, limb coordination, Romberg stance, gait observation, special interests. We will come to this one by one. The head thrust test is very important. It's very important because we have these hints, that is head impulse, nystagmus and skew. These three tests can help us to diagnose acute vestibular syndrome, whether it is central cause like posterior inferior cerebral artery stroke, from a relatively benign condition like a peripheral vertigo. The head thrust test is important, but a simple bedside test employed in patients with acute severe vertigo. It basically tests the vestibulo-ocular reflex. This test can detect unilateral or bilateral vestibular disorders and can help in distinguishing cerebral stroke from acute vestibular disorders in patients presenting with acute vertigo. This maneuver tests the integrity of the vestibulo-ocular reflex, as I have already said. Corrective saccades occur when the head is turned quickly towards the dysfunctional side. It is also, that's why it's also known as the doll's eye test. Here we have demonstrated the head thrust test. A person with intact this vestibular system will, the eyes will, if we ask the patient to fixate on the doctor's nose and move the head, then the eyes will keep following the nose. But in case of disranged test, there will be, first the eyes will move away from the doctor, and then there will be corrective saccades. It will come back like this, like this. It can be easily done, believe me. It can be done by every one of us sitting here. You can also see YouTube videos on this. Anyway, now this Hall-Pike positioning test, well-known test for BPPV. This is a positional test. So it's considered as gold standard test for the elicitation of positional nystagmus in patient with benign positional positional vertigo. During the entire test, the patient is instructed to keep eyes open, fixed on the examiner's nose. Caution in patients who are suffering from back pain or neck pain, obviously. Not recommended in patient with severe orthopnea. So there it is demonstrated. I am not going into details of this. It's an old test. All of you probably know already about this. Supine lateral head turns. Also not going into details. It is a substitute of this Hall-Pike. Specifically, it is done in patients with BPP when the Hall-Pike maneuver is negative. This photographic demonstration of how it is done. Now, test of skew. It is basically, what is test for skew? It is the vertical misalignment of the eyes, and vertical that results from right-left imbalance of the vestibular neural firing ring, and it is important for detecting AVS, acute vestibular syndrome arising from a central cause like brainstem stroke or cerebral stroke, etc. And it is generally detected by alternate cover testing. I will come to the pictures. Skew deviation in acute vestibular syndrome was strongly linked to presence of brainstem lesions. Like this, examiner faces the patient and covers one eye at a time and look for the vertical alignment of the eyes.